Welcome to WROL Broadcast. I am OgreBarberian, and with me today we have Abcuts.
Hello, everyone. You might know me from the website dcltoolkit.com. If you're not familiar with the website, it's a place to get all your information about characters, tier rankings, legendary orders. There's various calculators on there for resource management. I highly recommend checking it out.
And we at WROL also recommend checking it out. We've found it very useful even in our endeavors. And today we are here to talk about the mid-game tier list. This is for players who are just starting out all the way up to the point where you're around Gear 8, Gear 9, and you're starting to get into PvP, and you're not really sure who to focus on. Today we're going to be focused on the farmable characters, the characters you can get in the campaign nodes, and the characters you can get in red alerts themselves. These are the easiest characters to get, and therefore you're going to have a lot of access to them, so they're the great place to start for anybody.
And as we'll find out, they're not bad.
Yeah, just to go over a quick rundown of what each of these rankings is going to mean. We have a T tier, which is trash, don't use them. We actually didn't put anybody in that. And then we have the C tier, which they need support, but they're okay. They can work. We didn't put too many of them in this tier, honestly. Then we have B tier, which is solid if they have synergy around them. A tier is good overall and works on most teams. S tier makes every team better just for them being there. And when we get to the couple of S tiers that we have, you'll understand what we mean. So let's go ahead and start with our C tier. We landed with 3 in the C tier, it looks like. And let's start off with Deathstroke the Terminator, one of my favorite DC villains of all time. But we both put him in C tier. I have a minimum rank of 5, R5. And you didn't have a minimum rank, so...
I did not. Yeah, let's introduce that idea, though.
Okay. So what the idea of the minimum rank is that if you have this character and you have them unlocked, what point do they become good and what point do they become the ranking that they are? And Deathstroke, to me, he needs his leadership to really shine and, do what you want him to do. That's kind of what he's there for. But at the same time, it just gives him a lot more survivability because he is a tanky character. It gives him full access to his whole kit because all of it synergizes very nicely with itself. And that's what makes him a C. It avoids him from being total trash just because this kit is actually rather nice.
Yeah. In the beginning, he does decent damage for you when you unlock him, and I think he becomes less and less viable, but as a beginner to mid-tier character, he's not total trash.
Right. He's one of the handful of characters who care about ally deaths, and something that you'll find when you start PvPing, they're going to die. You can't do anything about that, so he has his uses, like most definitely. And something to note, once you get him to Legendary, and you actually get a few Legendary points on him, he can do pretty well. And in raids, he's actually not bad. So he has uses. Next we have John Stewart, Green Lantern. And again, we both put him in C. It's like, we don't have a minimum rank on him, but the reason we put him in C is because he has uses. He just needs a bit more support. And the reason for that is he requires shields, which he can kind of give out, but a lot of times you're going to want to use it on somebody else. He's more of a support character. And his kit overall is kind of nice, but it also requires him to be at low health, which usually translates to just being dead.
Right.
A lot of times. And that's why he gets the C tier. You can make him work if you want to, though. Then we're moving on to our last C tier entry. We got Zatanna.
Which breaks my heart, really, because I love Zatanna as a character.
Yeah, she's such a great character.
But she's also one of the first 3, maybe the first character you get when you
because you start the game with her and Hal.
Mm-hmm. And, in the beginning, I used her all the time because she's the only healer that you have, so she comes in handy there. Basically,
the game has changed a bit since the original version. She used to be a lot more valuable because she was the only hero flat out,
Yeah.
So,
Basically, what happens is you get to the point where you unlock survival suit Lex Luthor, and then she's obsolete. So she's not a
well,
bad
not right
character. She's
away, but yes, she does
yeah.
lose a lot of value. Like if you can get her to L2 and get her purge ability on her basic and her int downs on her 3, she actually can do really well on an int based team. So
hmm
she has uses, but again, it's just hard to make her work, so we put her in C. She's not trash though. Don't be
Yeah, she's not
offended by
trash.
it. Moving right along though, up to our B tier. Start off with the big man Bane. And we both have him at B tier, but our minimum ranks differ here. So I have him at R4 and you have him at L1. Can you tell me your reasoning behind wanting L1 minimum?
Yes, I think. I'm wondering if that was a typo.
Well, I understand why it's there. I know why it's there. It's because you want his out of turn attack.
There it is. Thank you for reminding
You
me.
want his out of turn attack. Whereas to me, he's perfectly viable at R4 as long as he has his passive. Once he has his passive to stay in the fight, I think he's perfectly usable.
Okay.
But anywhere between R4 and L1, I definitely agree that L1 he really shines, but I think he's perfectly serviceable at R4.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. He becomes really fun though with that out of turn attack, which
He really does, yeah.
seems to
He
fire
does
off
become
more
fun.
than 25% of the time, but
Well, the thing is, it's 25% of all 8 characters, not just the 4 on your team.
yeah, that's
So
true.
that's the difference. And it does seem to fire off a lot Yorkshire. Uh, Moving right along, though, we have Catwoman, Princess of Plunder. Nice, solid B character. But in order to even achieve that rating of B, she has to be L2. She has to have the 2 points in her 3 in order to get that stun, because that's what makes her usable. If she doesn't have that, she's really not that interesting of a character, honestly.
Yeah, that's true. Um, I did use her a lot though before that, and that might just be because I was a Catwoman fan though.
I mean,
But
she's a
she,
fan favorite, so
the whip is pretty useful for purging buffs. Um, before you get a lot of buff purgers, but yeah, very solid at L2.
yeah, she definitely comes into her own at L2. Uh, and then we got Hired Gun Deadshot, and this is a character that you get pretty early to 3 stars unlock, and he starts out absolutely amazing with his damage comparatively to everybody else that you have, because everybody else is rank 1 and doesn't hit quite as hard. So he definitely shines right away, but then he kind of falls off a little bit.
Yeah,
And
when I started
go
playing the
ahead and
game, I noticed that the end game tier list had him. I think he might have been even S when I started playing, but at least
he probably
A.
was. He's moved
And
down a little bit.
I was pretty confused by that until I got him to Legendary 1, and his leader ability really comes out and shines. So that's why we both have the minimum rank of L1, but we still have him in B tier because
At the
basically,
mid game, the critting isn't as devastating
yeah,
as because as you get higher in your gear rankings, that's when you're getting that crit damage value out of your gear set. So it's not as devastating at lower gear levels.
but it's still pretty good. You still
It's
get a
yeah,
lot of
it's
one shots
still
out
real
of it.
good. Still real good.
Um,
So
but if you don't get the one shot kill, then it's kind of you got to bring a good team and make sure that you can account for that.
yeah, he is a very solid character though. Definitely won't be disappointed because as you go higher, he will definitely shine. So, but moving right along, we've got Doctor Fate, the Sorcerer of Naboo himself, and I didn't have a minimum. I said he was usable out of the gate. And you have a minimum of R2, which means he has his 1, 2, and 3. Can you explain that one?
Um,
Is it just for the heal immunity?
okay, I thought it was 2 because does he is
His
1 star
shield
he
is
has his
2.
okay. Yeah. I
His
just
3 is his big hit with the heal immunity.
yeah,
Which, to be fair, is a very valid point. Having a heal immunity character, especially in the early game with characters like Swamp Thing and whatnot, can be very, very handy. So, I'm not going to knock you if that's what you were saying. So
his shield is his big thing, but I did like the heal immunity as well.
So pay attention to Dr. Fate. He's a very useful character in the early game.
Definitely. I used him a lot.
For quite a while.
Him and Zatanna, they would heal and they would shield, and that's how you get through a lot of the campaign in the beginning of the game.
Mm-hmm. Moving right along, we have Flash, fastest man alive, and you unlock him fairly early as well at R1, but you have a minimum of R5 for him on Flash. Can you go ahead and express that one?
Yeah, he's another character that I really didn't understand why he was so good until... well, I guess he doesn't need to be R5. All right, you caught me over.
R4, right?
Yeah.
R4, right? Yeah.
R4.
Yeah, his one speed.
Yep.
Yeah, that's where he really starts to shine, and you're just like, holy jeez.
Yeah, that's
and
when
he literally
starts...
just takes all the turns.
Yep, zipping all around and...
Yep. Now, to be fair, his L1 is where he really hits his stride. Really hits his stride. So, R5 is fine. Yeah, R4 I think is where he really picks up, and then at L1 he just takes off.
Okay, because you had him good out of the gate, which is true.
Yeah, he's so fast.
Mm-hmm.
And his AI uses his buff move, so you can throw him into a Lex team and just run him on auto. He'll buff every other move and, heal your team and speed him up, and it turns out really good. But moving along, we have Harley the Mad Jester. Again, still in B tier. And we both have a minimum rank of L1. And I think I know the reason for this, and the reason being that she really needs that turn 0 taunt.
Yeah, and it gives her an extra evasion up, which is also necessary.
Yeah, because something that you're going to find, especially in this lower tier of gear and skills particularly, is that she does not have the survivability that she does in the higher end.
She doesn't have the evasion either. And
That's it's the skill level.
Mm-hmm. I almost want to put her in C because on her own she's not that good for me, but once I unlocked Batgirl and started throwing her under Batgirl lead, that's when she became actually useful for me.
I think I'm going to agree with you on that. We're going to drop her.
Ooh.
We're going to drop her. Do you agree with that? We're going to drop her down to C?
Yeah, kind of. At least for early and mid game, because you can't get Batgirl very easily.
We're looking at these characters individually, so... Alright, so we had our first drop. Harley Quinn drops to C. Still good, and definitely picks up the higher you get, so keep that in mind. So.
Yeah. She's one to focus on for the end game, but not one that's immediately as useful in the mid game.
And she's also one of those characters that you're going to pick up a ton of shards for, just naturally.
Yeah, just accidentally.
She has a lot of availability with, the campaign nodes plus the PvP packs plus this, that, plus that. Like, she's everywhere, so you'll pick her up and get her to L1 no problem. And as you start advancing into the ranks and getting up in gear level, then you'll start realizing she's a lot better now. So, yeah, definitely agree on that. But coming up to Hot Girl now, one of the rare gems that she is really good if you power up her skills. She doesn't need a ton of gear. She needs those skill ranks, though.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she hits hard. And she can hit off.
She really wants those stuns.
She does really want the stuns. You have her as B tier just as soon as you unlock her, which I'm tempted to agree with. Because mine is basically saying, she needs...
You want the AoE, you want her passive upgrade for the assist call, I'm assuming? Or do you go for the basic? Either one of those is perfectly fine at L1.
L1 I went for the basic, so she gets the 100% to hit again if she stuns.
Yep. And she hits pretty hard.
She does. So I don't know. I could see her being useful out of the gate.
Yeah, she definitely has use. You'll like her if you start using her, and if you don't start using her, you probably won't like her. Like that's just how it is, unfortunately, for poor Hot Girl. Then we come down to Sinestro the White Lantern. And again, B tier, but I think we disagree a little bit on his minimum rank here. Are you saying you want R3 because you want him to have his AoE heal, or
Yeah, the heal.
death immunity, or
Or is it the death immunity?
no, that's his 2.
Okay, yeah, it's the
so
death
the
immunity.
AoE heal.
Just wanted to have the heal and the death immunity.
Doesn't he unlock it R4 anyway, though?
That's very possible. I don't remember.
I'm pretty sure he takes 90 shards to unlock him, which is R4.
Okay, that sounds right.
And that's why I removed the
Mm-hmm.
inhibitor, because I'm pretty sure he unlocks at R4, which is where his passive is. It's not his leadership, but it's where his passive is, and the passive is pretty powerful. But you definitely do consider him for his leadership, and that's why I put R5 for mine.
Okay. I didn't use his leadership very much. I used him mostly for getting heals and getting death immunity.
Yeah. He's a very good supporter.
Yeah, and another one that's really helpful early game because I got him before I unlocked Lex, so he was able to help me survive a lot of red alerts and all that, which is also where you get him. So
absolutely.
But yeah, his leadership skill is also very good.
Yeah.
It's not to be slept on.
Sinestro White Lantern is one of those characters that if you play with him, you probably love him. If you don't play with him, you're like, eh.
What's he doing for the other guy?
Yeah. And then you start fighting him in PvP, and you're like, oh my god, what am I doing? Where's my Dr. Fate? Speaking of revives, though, we come to Solomon Grundy.
Solomon Grundy, one pants two.
Right? He does. I always reference that.
Pants two.
I always reference that commercial.
Yeah, it's burned in my memory.
First post I ever made on Reddit was Solomon Grundy wants pants too. And it was literally me asking for a team for Grundy. Back way back in the day when the Reddit was like a baby. So I think we had maybe 500 Redditors at the time. Now we have well over 10,000.
Yeah, we've got 10,000 mark.
Yeah. So, I mean, shows you how far this Reddit has come as the little Reddit that could. So, but I gave him a minimum of L1, whereas you didn't give him a minimum requirement, so he's good out the gate for you.
Well, what happened was I never got to play with him at any level that wasn't L4, I think. Because I didn't use him before his rework. And then after his rework, I already had him at L4, and I just took him from there. So I was going to leave that up to you to
Yeah, okay, so the reason that I think L1 is where he starts to really shine is because it gives him that turn 0 taunt again, which you'll notice are very important things, both in our tier listing and the advanced roster tier listing. Turn 0 taunts make or break a character. So.
Yeah, I'll agree with that then. Yeah, that turn 0 is pretty big.
It also gives him crit immunity on that turn 0, so that's huge for being that meat shield that he is.
And that negates, what's his face? Deadshot.
Deadshot. There's a lot of crit immunity going around in the game, so you'll find Deadshot at times is absolutely amazing, and then at times he's just like, eh. But the other thing about Deadshot to remember is that he cannot miss.
He cannot miss, which is pretty helpful.
It is very good when you need it. Moving on to our final B tier character is Star Sapphire Carol Ferris. And we want her at rank 4 to get that passive to pass out the men's, because that is her purpose. She is a healer.
She's a pretty good healer. She's not an overhealer.
The men's overheal.
The men's do, but her actual heal is
actual
only
heal doesn't.
Yeah.
But the men's do. And something else to note about her is that she also applies strength outs in her kit, which is also very useful. So
yeah, especially early game. I feel like you don't get a lot of that.
Yeah, you definitely don't have those kind of debuffs just everywhere.
Yeah. And an AoE that does it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So yeah, she definitely has her uses. And as you start advancing up the ranks with her, she definitely improves.
Yeah, and her basic buffs.
She will fall off eventually, but
she charges Lex with her basic, which is good.
Yep. And powers herself up at the same time, which is great. I love that about her. So I actually use her in my raid squad because you got the strength down, the int up. It's like everything that you could possibly want to hit a raid boss with her basic.
Yeah. No, she's really good, but she's not quite A tier.
She's not quite. She's pretty solid. She's solid. Yeah, but she's definitely not the best, but she has definitely got place.
Yeah.
So, speaking of, though, since that was our last B, we're moving up to A now. And we're going to go ahead and start off the A tiers with the last character that you can unlock in campaign mode, Black Adam. Nice, solid A tier character. I personally put him at a minimum rank of L1, and part of that reason is because by the time you get to that point, most of your other characters are going to be at R5 or L1, and he's just kind of be R3, and that's just like, why would I bother using him?
Doesn't
even have his whole kit.
I gotta be honest, I don't have him unlocked yet because I'm still working on that one node.
Yeah, it's a tricky thing to get him. So,
but I will say in the mid game on defense, or when you face him in PvP rather, or like a red alert, he's not quite as devastating as I've seen at endgame.
He's not. But he can absolutely run away with the game, though, if you give him the right circumstance.
Yeah.
And which shows how powerful he can be later on when he gets more powerful. But definitely doesn't show those. He has flashes of brilliance, I guess, is how you say it.
Right? Yeah. Come to think of it, I feel like he did give me trouble in the campaign, in the PvE node.
Oh, absolutely.
When he's actually useful.
He will wreck you. He will wreck you if you're prepared.
If you run into another mid-gamer with him, chances are it's not going to be the end of the world.
Yeah. Just try to keep your health above a certain point so he doesn't go ham on you.
Mm-hmm. And take him out early so he doesn't ramp up.
And I think that's the defining factor right there of the A tier. Try to take them out relatively quickly.
Yeah.
That's the defining factor for the A and above. It's like the B tier, you can try to ignore them for the most part. It just depends on who it is and what else the team is doing. The A tiers and S tier, you need to answer them, and for the S tiers in specific, you need to have a very specific counters.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So, and that's what separates these guys, is that moving into A tier, you need to answer them, and you might even need a specific counter. So Adam is one of those characters you definitely want to deal with before it's too late, because it will be too late before you realize. So, with that said, though, we have our Avatar of the Hunt, Cheetah, as our next A tier. And I see you have a minimum of L2.
Yeah.
I'm interested in that one. I want to know why you think L2 is her minimum.
So, she was another character that I did not see the utility of until I hit L2, which enables her as a team leader to use the Avatar of the Hunt, or Blood in the Air.
Yeah.
Yeah, Blood in the Air.
And the legendary for that is Avatar of the Hunt.
Yeah.
Which grants the 20% to meter up.
Yep. And that's when she really becomes useful.
I assume that's what you're wanting is both of those.
Yeah. So to answer your question, it's so you can use her as a leader and get 20% turn meter plus 2 strength ups at least at the start of battle. Without that, she was not anything special for me. Her 3 hits hard, or her 2 maybe. Yeah, her 2 hits hard.
Because her 3 is the buff.
Right.
Okay, so to me, I love bleeds, which her basic applies plenty of bleeds, and then her 2 also now purges buffs, which are 2 very, very valuable things in my book. So, especially the purge. Now, granted, when you're getting her unlocked, you're also just barely unlocking a lot of your characters. So she's a very solid option for purging, especially since she's a mystic. Mm-hmm. You either have her with her 2, which has a very low cooldown, or you have Zatanna with her 3, which has kind of a long cooldown.
Yeah.
So, and that's I think what made the difference there for me is like not necessarily requiring a high rank to make her useful.
Okay. Um. Well, yeah. I guess we could go either way on that one.
Yeah, and it's going to be personal preference. If you use a character and you find that they're not as good as you think that they should be, build them up a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
Give them a couple extra skill ranks, give them another extra rank.
Yeah. Give them another ring so they get another buff.
Yeah, exactly. Like, there's a lot of things you can do, not just gearing. So
Yeah.
if they're not working for you, find out why. Everybody has different opinions. So, but moving on. Speaking of difference in opinion, I've been saying this character has been amazing for years, and he finally got his rework, and he is absolutely amazing now. Camo, the Deathless Doom. I think hands down he is a solid A tier character now.
Glorp, glorp, glorp.
Yo, exactly. And you have the R4 minimum, and that's just to unlock his passive.
Yeah, that retaliation is
Well, the
fun.
retaliation, that's his legendary, right?
I didn't think it was.
It is, and because the regular passive is they just get a bleed or doom.
Oh, okay.
So the retaliation is the passive. So that would be L1, which he really, really starts to shine at L1. Not
Yeah.
gonna lie. I honestly think he's, again, because of the bleed, he's got use at any rank, no matter what part of the PvE or PvP you're in, because bleeds are true damage. They're hard to deal with for a lot of
Yeah.
characters. So that's where his value comes in. Not only that, but once you unlock his Fallout, those speed downs are so devastating to some teams.
Yeah, speed and turn meter down, and yeah, his 2 area of attack bleeds is very good. So maybe he doesn't need to be L1.
Yeah, I don't think he needs L1, but he
Because he also
definitely
passes out
needs.
Doom, which is an interesting and unique effect. No one else has Doom.
Nope, nobody else has Doom yet. I'm actually hoping that if they introduce like Black Flash,
Mm-hmm.
that would be a character that would end up with Doom. That would be really cool, I think.
Yeah.
Just signify that he caught up to you finally. All right, not to continue to gush over Chemo, but we move on to one of the characters that you're going to probably think is the most amazing character for a while, and that would be the Demon Etrigan.
Oh,
And
yeah.
if you're a fan of the character, they did a really good job on how this character says hello for the first time. I don't know if you remember that one, but they actually gave him his rhyme, so I thought it was great.
Yeah.
So,
Keeping true to the lore.
Yeah, no, he has stayed true to the lore every step of the way in DCL. The one thing about him is that you're going to unlock him right away at 10 shards, rank 1. He doesn't really start to shine until R4 when he unlocks his passive. That's when he really becomes a beast. So, just so you know.
Yeah, and I think we were in agreement on that one.
Yeah.
But he was definitely a character that I would go back and run red alerts like 2 or 3 times when he had 25 shards just to...
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
He was one I was gunning for since the beginning.
Mm-hmm. And, one of those early teams that you're going to end up using for a lot of players is going to be Survival Support Suit Lex, Arcus, Etrigan, and either Dr. Fader's Swamp Thing, depending on what you want or have. Like, that's going to be your first team that can clear red alerts easily. So...
Yeah,
Etrigan's on that team. Yeah, on auto. Easily on auto. And Etrigan, he's a very, very strong backbone for a team.
Yep.
Because of the way he works, he doesn't quite hit the S tier the way Arcus does, I think.
Yeah, because he takes a minute. He's the definition, textbook ramp-up character.
Yes.
But once he gets going, he's unstoppable, so...
Well, he's not unstoppable. He's very hard to stop. Arcus is actually unstoppable if he gets...
Death immunity?
Yeah. Death and debuff immunity.
That's fair.
Before we get to Arcus, let's continue with the rest of the A tier real quick. And the next up we have Huntress, who is another evasion character. And I think the difference between her and Harley is that she's not trying to taunt.
Yeah. I honestly, I don't know. I don't even think of her as an evasion character. I know she has it. I think of
it should be
Huntress.
secondary.
Yeah, I think of kill shot. That's her role, is taking out.
Her newest passive that she got is now just, I'm gonna pop you and you're gonna die.
Mm-hmm.
So. And she actually makes a really good pairing with Etrigan because they both care about getting those kills secured. So you'll definitely find synergy there.
But she's also saved my skin on a couple times because you get a character really close to being down, and then she just comes in and takes care of them for you.
Mm-hmm. The out of turn finishing off is super valuable. But you have her as an R5 minimum, so you absolutely have to have that ability to pop off and KO somebody who's at the brink.
Whereas I guess you wouldn't have to, but
I think she's viable no matter what, because she hits hard regardless.
She does, and yeah, you can still use that big shot, the big hit, but I don't know. I just like it popping off.
No, and you're absolutely right. You're not wrong to think that. That's for sure. But moving on, we got Power Girl, and Power Girl is one of your early taunters. She's also one of your early strength-based characters that just builds and builds and builds, and that's what makes her so powerful, is that she just pumps herself up and pumps herself up. Now, you have a minimum of L1 requirement.
Yeah.
What's that about?
Well,
that's for the turn 0?
I don't know. I had a moment. Before this call.
It's for the turn 0. That's understandable.
Yeah, it's kind of for the turn 0. Doesn't she also get something else out of that? Let's take a look.
She gets big power boost because of L1, because ranking up gives you more power. That's for sure. So, I honestly think
she also starts with death immunity. That's what it was.
Yeah, she starts with death immunity with her taunt.
And I honestly find her kind of squishy for a tank. So that's why
she's not a traditional tank. She is a striker first.
Yeah. So that's why I kind of wanted that L1, so she doesn't just die, because that's what was happening to mine. I kept
you taunt up and then she ends up dead in a few seconds, and you're just like, what happened?
Right. First she wastes the turn having to call the taunt herself.
Right.
And then she's taunting, which is good for everyone else, but she just kept dying on me. And even still, I don't.
No, I got you.
I'm tempted to throw her down to a B, just because she never performs very well for me. But
I think if you look at her as she doesn't require the taunt.
Yeah.
She could literally just use her basic the entire match.
I do know in the beginning.
She is a solid A tier if you just use her basic the entire match. As long as you're controlling her, she's really solid.
Area of attack's always nice, and it hits under shields.
Yeah, it does hit under shields, which is nice. And there are a lot of shields in the early game.
Yeah, because I remember using that a lot, and then I kind of stopped using her at some point. And then I brought her back up to Gear 9 with the rest of my characters, and I'm just still not using her very much. I don't know.
Yeah, she definitely has fallen off comparatively. So I can agree with you on that. Let's knock her down to a B. She's very very solid. Very, very solid character. But she definitely does fall off when you compare her to the likes of Etrigan.
Yeah. Like I prefer using Grundy for taunt these days.
I think okay, so hear me out on this one, and maybe we'll change her back to an A real quick.
Okay.
Is she a character that you have to answer? Or can you ignore her for the most part?
That's a good question. I honestly don't see a lot of her in PvP anymore anyway, but when I do see her, I usually run Cheetah and strip that taunt if she has the turn 0 taunt. So, kind of.
So you're saying that you do bring a specific counter?
Kind of, yeah.
Because that's what we were saying
I
was
consider
the definition
her,
of the tier.
But, she's kind of more of an annoyance than a threat, but that's just the turn 0 taunt.
That's fair.
I don't see her knocking out my tunes very often, I guess.
Well, let's give her like A-, then B+, A-. Because she's definitely, I don't think she's definitely on the high end of B.
I mean, I could be wrong. I'm fine. Everyone else seems to like her.
She's definitely on the high end of B. Well, I think it's one of those things that a lot of the characters have definitely outshined her.
Yeah.
In the recent years, since her debut, she hasn't had a rework. She's been debuted and kind of been forgot about. And when we get to Arcus, he kind of does everything she wants to do.
Yeah. Yep.
And I think
Better.
that's where it comes in, is that she just got overshined.
She did.
Or outshined. So I can agree that she's definitely an A-B+ character.
All right.
She's like right on that borderline.
Yeah.
And it's going to vary based on whatever comp you use her into. So.
Yeah, and what other characters you have and where you are in the game. So.
Exactly.
Interesting.
Unlike this next character, Swamp Thing, he's an absolute house.
Yeah, love him. Another one that I just kept trying to get more shards from, the red alerts for him, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Kept double dipping.
Yep. He is one of those characters that you definitely won't be disappointed by double dipping.
Yeah.
On his 25 day. So. He may lose a little bit as you get a much more expanded roster. But there's nobody that really does what he does.
No, and he's also...
It's not that he's overshined because of the things that he does are weak. It's that his kit is so varied, you usually end up taking somebody a little bit more focused.
Yeah. Yeah, he definitely does a lot.
Yeah. So I love him in raids too, to be honest. So just because those crit ups are insane.
I love him in my red alerts. He's on my red alert team, and because all that stuff just carries over with him and Lex.
Yep, that overheal carries right on over.
Mm-hmm.
And his basic is really powerful. His passive says he gets an extra attack out of turn if he's overhealed with a 3% chance, which is really powerful. So him and Lex make really good buddies.
Yeah, definitely.
But our last A tier here, we have Wonder Woman, the Princess of Themyscira, the big tanky Wonder Woman who is quite good once you get her leadership ability.
Yeah.
And I think that's the key, is that you have to have that leadership ability, because before that, she's just kind of... she's a little tanky, and she's got some buff purging and debuff purging, and just like... She does a little bit of stuff that you want her to do, but when you get that leadership unlocked, ooh, buddy. She just goes off. So.
Yeah, no, it's really impressive. I don't know. I like fun characters, and she's kind of fun. You feel like you...
She's definitely fun. She's definitely been overshadowed by a lot of the other characters that have been introduced.
Yeah, I could see that.
But she's still definitely a solid.
She's a little low on power, you know. She's at the back end of my list.
Oh yeah. No, she has a lower power score because of her tank gear set.
Mm-hmm.
So, and she doesn't hit the hardest by any means.
No, but she can hit often. But
she hits often because of her leadership. So
yeah. And it's just neat.
So I
and
think that's the key there, is that
strips those buffs, really helpful. Yeah.
Overall, very solid character. But I know what everybody's been waiting for, our S tiers. We've got 2 of them. 2 S tiers. We're finally there. And let's be honest, we all want to see the flex of Lex and Arcus. You know, because these guys, they literally just go in and start flexing on you.
They just go in and tear it all up.
They rock you like a hurricane. And they do not take numbers about it. Like, Arcus...
Not only does Lex rock you like a hurricane, he just helps the entire team as he's doing it.
Yeah.
His basic can one-shot, like, I don't know. I've seen
his basic do tens of thousands of damage, where everybody else in my team is doing, like, 4.
Yeah, just 4.
It's just like, what? Literally, the only thing holding him back from becoming a complete god is his low speed.
Yeah, but he doesn't need it.
He doesn't need it. That is the beauty of it. Just putting him on a team, once you've hit R4, just putting him on the team, any team, makes that team instantly better. Yeah, he has to be the leader.
I feel like a lot of
instantly better.
I've seen a lot of teams in PvP recently where they bring him in like the second spot, and
okay. And yes, I get that that's not necessarily correct. But also, if you're wanting to use a different leader, and you need that buff purging and that heal with the speed up, is
Yeah,
still incredible.
that is true.
His kit is just amazing, but that leadership puts him so far ahead of everybody else.
I would say he's an A character outside of lead. And then,
Absolutely. He's definitely an A character outside of lead because he still needs to be answered.
yeah,
And you could still just die.
that's true.
You know.
But he's,
And I think that's what defines Arcus here is even if you bring a counter for Arcus, if that counter misses, for whatever reason, you're just dead.
yeah, you're out. You are out. Honestly, my
Your
counters
whole
for
team is
Arcus,
done.
my counters for Arcus are Lex and Arcus. That's kind of it.
You know, we just mentioned her, Wonder Woman, Princess of Themyscira. As long
Yeah.
as you have her as a lead and you have, I want to say, the legendary on her 3, she counters Arcus hard.
Yeah, I have some other counters for
Because she's
him,
a mystic also.
but they're not
so.
farmables.
Right, no, but Wonder Woman, because she's a mystic, can take that counterattack from Arcus no problem.
That's true too.
It's just
yeah.
like, whatever. So,
True.
and that's one of the reasons that I rated Wonder Woman so high, was because
The Arcus.
she can counter
Yeah.
Arcus along with a bunch of these other characters that rely on their buffs.
Yeah, yeah, I like Lex if you can get the legendary on his basic and prevent the buffs from stacking on Arcus, then that kind of helps.
Oh yeah, the legendary on his basic shuts him down completely. It's great.
Yeah.
And yeah.
But obviously Wonder Woman has that as well. So
Yep. And there's a lot of characters that counter Arcus that aren't in the farmable category.
yeah, a lot of blues
So
out there.
That's
of
where
greens.
Wonder Woman and the Lex get their high rating from, is because they do counter Arcus quite well. So
hmm Speaking of double dipping and red alerts, he's another one. He can. I
he
believe
is
he has
absolute,
days where he's 12 and 25 at the same time.
and the 5.
If you want to know what days those are, feel free to hop into dcltoolkit.com. We have a calendar that
Love it.
lists all the red alert awards for the day. So it's
And
pretty
remind
helpful.
me, those are auto updated?
They are auto updated because it's a pattern, a repeating pattern that the good people of Reddit have figured out, and I simply put onto a nice little calendar box.
Very nice, very nice. And so that brings us to the top end of our tier list. Now, you may notice we missed a few characters.
We did. We did?
We missed 10, actually. So,
Oh, goodness.
and that's because we slightly disagree on some of these characters. And we're going to talk about them a little bit more in depth real quick. We've been going for a while, so we'll try to make this quick, but we're going to fire these off real quick.
Yeah.
Batman Cape Crusader. I have him in B. You have him in C. Try to convince me that I'm wrong.
What does he do?
He punches you in the face.
Yeah. To be fair, I have not used him since I don't know, since like level.
He doesn't have any utility.
28.
I'm not going to lie. He has like no utility.
You have to waste a turn making him invisible so that his big kick hits hard, and then his big kick kind of hits hard, and then
He also
that's
plays
it.
silence on his basic.
Yeah.
So, like, I think he has uses, and maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he should be a C.
If we're going
But
off
he's
how
probably
you
just a C plus.
okay,
I think it's safe to say that he's a C plus. He's definitely
because our C tier is noted as needs support but okay, which is pretty much
But
him.
also, our B tier is noted as solid with synergy. So if you happen to have like Clayface or Mirror Master that can hand him this invisibility,
Mm-hmm.
that's where he definitely shines. He definitely has good synergies in those kind of teams.
Okay. To be fair, I've seen him come in and grapnel kick,
Yeah, you're
some of
just
my
dead if he
characters
crits.
out of existence, and that's not fun.
Exactly. He was Arcus before Arcus, to be
Maybe.
fair. So he's not as colorblind as Arcus, that's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
So definitely a solid enough character if you want to run Batman.
Yes.
So
But there's a lot of Batman. And
there is a lot of Batman.
but
And
he's
if you were only going to pick one Batman, probably steer toward World's Greatest Detective. if you get the shards.
If you can find
Hopefully
them.
a better character. So, also Adam West. So,
Yeah, no, I love his costume on
yeah, I love the
non-legendary World's Greatest Detective is
He
Batman.
looks like he's straight out of the movie or straight out of the show.
Or the comics even. He's
Comics
very
even,
very 70s, blue and gray Batman. Love it.
Yep. All right. And then our next character we have a little contention over is Captain Cold. And you have him in C, I have him in B, and I think it's because he has some really powerful synergies if you want to build that slow team.
Which is probably true, and I haven't gone down that. Honestly, the only time I've seen him be useful was on your Twitch stream, which if you're not aware out there listening,
the slow team.
Ogre streams on Twitch every now and then, so keep an eye out for that.
Once in a while, I try to.
And yeah.
I need to get an actual solid date and I'm going to stream every Sunday at this time.
Yeah.
I need to do that. So.
I'll go ahead and give you B on Captain Cold just because of when I saw him on your team last weekend.
Yeah.
Because I don't use him.
Definitely, the reason that he shines with the synergy is because he actually has purging, which that team otherwise kind of lacks. So he definitely is needed for that. This one we vastly disagree on, and Cyborg. Cyborg, you have him at the bottom of C. I put him in an A.
Yeah.
And I'm curious what your logic is, but my logic is that Evasion exists, and Lex exists.
That's fair. He could honestly come up. I think I just was using him wrong for a while. Because I didn't realize that you had to use his basic to make sure that his third would actually hit.
Yeah. No. You have to use his basic to make sure the 2 hits.
Sorry, yeah. Is third all the buffs that he gets?
Yeah, the third is the speed ups.
Okay. Yeah.
So yeah, you definitely can't run him on auto.
No. I'll go.
Well,
yeah.
You can if you take control of his second turn. Because his first turn he'll buff, his second turn you have to take control of, so he'll use his basic, and then you can put it back on auto.
Yeah, and with the
definitely
buffing,
not intuitive.
He works pretty well. Intuitive. Works well with Lex, with the buffing. We can give him a B.
Okay.
Because the can't miss is nice.
Yeah, I agree on that. So, and he's the only character that I know of in this early thing, aside from Deadshot, that just can't miss.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that's true.
He definitely has a niche, at the very least. So.
But yeah, I never used him that much, so I also felt like he wasn't necessary. But
he's not necessary.
But you can make a case for him. You can definitely make a case for him.
And I think that's exactly where the B tiers want to live. So.
Yeah. All right.
So yeah, I think B's good. Emerald Archer Green Arrow is our next entry, and you have him at C, I have him at B, and I also have the requirement of rank 5 for his leadership. And most of my rating is actually specifically tied to raids.
Okay.
If you want to raid, he is hands down one of the best leaders, especially the farmables.
And that's because of all the agility downs.
The agility down, the strength down. There's a lot of things that he does.
Yeah, he can really help you out there. I'll give you that.
Yeah. So maybe he's not the greatest character in regular PvP, but as an overall character, he definitely has use. So
yeah,
I'll concede that he's a C plus in that, because in PvP he's probably not what you want to be doing.
Yeah, you probably don't want to bring him as a leader in PvP, unfortunately.
Not anymore. He used to. He used to be the leader.
And that's why these lists have to come out every month, Right? They keep changing the game on us.
Right? It's like new characters get introduced and characters get reworked.
That's crazy. You can't explain that.
And this is another one, actually, that kind of proves the same point, I think. But I want to hear your take on it. Hal Jordan, Green Lantern. You have him at A. I put him at B, pretty much for the same reason that we just described with Green Arrow. He's kind of been power crept out by Lex, in my opinion. But I'm curious to what you think.
Well, speaking of can't miss, his hammer can't miss, but is that legendary?
I believe the damage can.
Okay.
Might be I'm wrong.
But
and I think it is the legendary.
I do like him as a leader because of the debuff immunity, especially when you're facing Chemo. Mainly when you're facing Chemo, because he just...
Right.
Because that's what Chemo AI always opens with the area of attack debuffs.
Yep.
And then the bleeds, and then you're immune to all of it.
Yeah, and it's really handy. I'll give you that. I will give you that. But that to me sounds like a niche pick.
He is niche, but he also
right. So the way our rating system goes, I think that is
is a B.
What is a B, right?
That's fair.
Right, because that's
I also like him to I like him to power up Alan Scott by just starting with shields, but yeah, I'll concede to B.
Yeah, and definitely if it's a character that if you build synergy with him, like if you're running Arcus and Alan Scott and Kilowog, guys that want shielding, then yes, he's probably better than Lex in that comp.
Mm-hmm. But he's
it
not
has
for
to be
everyone.
in that comp.
Yeah.
But like outside of that, Lex is still just a better overall character. Like, and I think that's what defines the differences here.
Yep.
So, and moving along, we've got Harley Quite Vexing, and my reasoning again is the raid. She's really good in raids.
I've heard that.
And that's why I put her at B. But definitely, again, PvP, she's not quite where you want to be doing. Although, if you run her with Deadshot and teams that are, crit happy, she does power up really nicely with her strength ups.
Yeah, and I like call assist characters, but I have a hard time finding a good team for her. I don't know.
Yeah, it is hard. But again, if you're running her in raids, then she starts to shine. Because those agility downs and those assist calls, those strength ups that she gets, all start to come together for her. Because you're in a longer battle at that point.
Yeah, definitely.
So, all right. Moving on, we've got Killer Frost, Caitlin Snow. You put her in C. I'm curious what that logic is. I would think that somebody with a fairly low cooldown, no ifs, ands, or buts stun. They can't miss because it's just the debuff.
I think that's a typo.
It's a typo? Okay.
Yeah.
So she's a B?
She is a B. Okay. And I've actually started using her more since I put this together the first time. And let's go with B.
All right, sounds good. And then Sinestro Yellow Lantern. And I think
you have a B. I have a C. And he might be B at higher levels, because as I'm getting up in higher levels, I see him at like L3 maybe, I don't know, but he's starting to become more of a nuisance on the enemy team than he was at lower levels.
The more legendaries he gets, the better he becomes. But even at lower gear and rank and stuff, I think that honestly his basic applying affinity resistance down is just insane.
That's a good point, and it's pretty unique.
I can't think of anybody else that does it, to be honest. So, not only that, but he has some control with the enrage that he applies. So, like, he has uses. If he was still a leader and required to be leader to gain access to the enrage buff, then yes, I would agree. He definitely is not what you want to be doing. But now that he doesn't require that and he can just enable himself, I think he's a lot better.
Okay. I did like his area of attack in early game.
Yeah,
a lot.
His AoE that can cut through shields, man. Oh, yeah. Man.
And it looks cool.
It does. It looks really cool.
Buzzsaws.
Especially the first time you see it. You're just like, nerd out.
Yeah, we can give him a B because he looks cool.
Right? We're just going to give him a solid B because he looks cool.
Yeah.
I mean, it's Sinestro. I mean, come on.
Yeah, it is Sinestro. For the record, the only other character that gives affinity resist down is Joker Damaged Goods.
That's why nobody knows about it. Because
that's why nobody knows.
Right? Also requires his leadership, I believe.
Yeah.
Which nobody uses. Because if you use damage goods, you're not using
Or no,
them for...
it's not. His leadership is affinity
worse.
power up, and
Oh.
his passive is
It's his passive, okay.
yeah.
Still. You're not using Joker damage goods all that much. And
Nope.
he's so rare at this point that most new players don't even know who he is. So... Unless you manage to spin him on the wheel.
Yeah.
And then you might try, because he's got a
Goes up
local
in the void. He belongs to stay in the void.
All right, let's wrap this up. We got 2 characters left. Siren, Assassin of the Deep. I've got her at B. You've got her at C.
I'm bringing her up to B.
You're bringing her up to B?
I started working on her.
Now that you're thinking about it?
Yeah. I started working on her in the evasions and the bleeds. It's really good, especially with all these other bleeders out there. So.
I think that's the defining thing right there, is that bleeds are just that damaging.
They are.
That good at times.
They're
not
good
always great. They're not always great, but when they're good, they're good.
Mm-hmm. They're good in PvE, good in PvP. So.
Yeah. Definitely good, no matter where you are, unless it's a very particular team, like a Wonder Woman team probably is the worst you can do.
Plus, she's a non-red evasion character, so that's fun.
She's a non-red evasion character. She's one of your rare blue evasion characters. So, and her kit is completely self-contained once you hit L1 and get her AoE to apply bleeds. So, I think is like where she really starts to shine. So
L1.
Yeah, L1's where I really think she starts to shine.
All right.
So, but last but not least, a very controversial character in DC Legends community.
For probably the most controversial, many times over.
I don't know about the most, but he's definitely among the most, at least most recently.
Yeah.
So, and that's Superman.
The
He's
Man
a very
of Steel.
solid character, honestly. I think I gave him a B.
Yeah,
That's because of how annoying.
He's annoying. He's annoying to fight.
I had a match, I swear, last night. I was in it for probably 15 minutes in red alerts because I couldn't kill him because I brought my slowdown team.
And then that just keeps him...
could not purge them fast enough.
Yeah, that's a
I'm
shame.
just like, come on.
He's very annoying.
I'd get one hit in, he'd go damage immune because I crit for some reason, and then I have to spend another 5 minutes waiting on the cooldowns.
Yeah.
It's just like,
he's annoying.
He's very annoying.
One of the most annoying. But to be honest, I like to bring the Dark Knight against him.
Yeah. And now that he's had his rework, he looks a lot more smooth to do that too.
He takes care of him pretty well.
Lex can take care of him pretty well. Wonder Woman can take care of him pretty well if you're looking at characters that are farmable. So he definitely is not in that tier with those two.
No.
But he's still a very solid character. He protects the team, which is what you want him to do. But he has to be leader. He's not farmable.
But he's
you do unlock him.
Yeah, okay.
You do unlock him through campaign.
I was just thinking about this.
And your first login calendar.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
you can get him to L1, I think, with just the login calendar and unlocking.
Okay. Yeah, you get him.
If you get all
completing
28 days or whatever.
That's right.
If you get all 28 days on the first login, I think you get him to L1.
So he's a weird one-time farmable character, but
pseudo farmable. But I put him in here kind of as an honorable.
Yeah,
because
that's fair.
You get him, you know.
Yeah.
You get it. It's just getting more shards of him is going to be a little bit trickier. But for those of us who are fans of Superman, he's worth investing in, I think. So.
Okay. I could see a B. Because he can help keep your team alive and draw the firepower. He just doesn't hit hard, and he's not fun to use.
Fun to use. I think that's such a subjective term.
Yeah, I know. For me, he just kind of sits there.
Fight against. He definitely is a character you have to bring a particular set of skills to.
Yeah, you got to bring Liam Neeson. For sure.
Right? So, you definitely don't want to flex on him. Cause he will flex right back.
Okay. And because you do have to account... Because you have to account for him on the enemy team, I'll give him the B.
Yeah. Because if you just ignore him, you have to have a lot of AoEs.
Yeah. Yep.
So
That about wraps it up, though.
yeah, that's our tier list. And I think what I want to say at this point is that if you guys want us to continue doing these mid-game tier lists, we will absolutely do that. I think we enjoyed doing it.
Yeah.
And there's just so many characters at this point. I think what we'll end up doing is every month we'll look at like the Siege bonus characters and the new and reworked characters essentially. And we'll do those. And we'll go over those. And we'll make any adjustments to the farmable characters as they feel appropriate. You know? But I think that's how we're going to do it if we continue to do it, if you guys want us to continue doing it. So
Yeah.
please let us know.
Good feedback or negative feedback, it's all fine. It was fun doing just for my own personal benefit, you know, how I view these things. So
Great.
Thanks for doing that with me, Ogre. I think it was maybe even your idea, so.
Yeah, I mean, it was something that's been approached to me before by different, you know, I don't know if it was patrons or if it was just other players who were just like, hey, what do you think tier listing of all this? And I personally hate tier lists, but that's because I love all of the characters. I love DC. I love the characters. I want them to be good, so I will find a reason to make them not trash. As you can see by our list, not containing any trash characters.
Yeah.
this month. So, you know, I try to make them work as best I can, and I also generally rated them a little bit higher than you in a lot of instances. So I think it's obvious that I don't particularly care for tier listing.
But we've done it.
Yeah,
and
we've done it.
Hopefully
and now it's done, and I can get rid of it. And that's another thing to be said is that, yes, Arcus is an S-tier character. I still don't use him.
How dare you?
I know, I'm such a noob. I enjoy using my character of the month. Like this month I've been using Medfill, Ocean Master, Hush, and whoever tickles me for the fourth at the time.
Yeah,
so
that's fun. I like Medfill.
Medfill's a lot of fun.
Yep.
You know what? Bonus tiering, if you ever get Medfill, highly recommend picking him up. I'm not going to give him a ranking, but...
No, just get him as many shards of him as you can, and you won't be disappointed.
Exactly. So... But with that, thank you all for tuning in and listening. Hope you enjoyed. Please let us know in the comments. As always, leave a like, comment, subscribe, all that fun stuff. If you're listening on any other platform, feel free to become a patron at WROL. All of those links should be in the description, hopefully. Once again, thanks for listening. Thanks for joining me, Abcuts, and please don't forget to check out DCL Toolkits if you get a chance.
Yeah, thanks, Ogre. Bye, everyone.
Hey everyone, it's Tootitron. Thanks for listening to WROL Broadcast. If you like the show, consider becoming a patron at patreon.com/WROL Broadcasts. So apparently, DP over here is popping a squat in his parents' basement. Now, DP, I know you just came from some foreign land and everything, but here in North America, living in your parents' basement is unacceptable behavior. That's why I live in my parents' upstairs bedroom. Get on my level, bro.